Hola. So yeah, I always have these epiphanies and these thoughts, right? And I think that the first problem with race in America is it's not being talked about. People live their lives because race don't affect them as far as white people. They don't affect them. So whenever they hear something about race, it's kind of like a nuisance. They're tired of hearing about it because it don't affect them. Now think about if somebody kept talking about something that does not affect you, you're going to be like you're going to yawn. It's going to be boring to you, you know, because it don't affect you. So it's like, man, why we still talking about this? We still talking about this? Like, dang, yeah, okay, you already talked about that before. Can I get on with my day? Because it don't affect you. So yeah, you gonna set it to the side, man. But the problem is, if it continues to affect what's going on around you, logically, you probably should try to figure out, okay, what's going on with this? Because now, basically, what it's doing is interfering in my life. You know, like they got riots and stuff going on. I don't know what's going on. Why is this happening? Why am I getting pulled out my vehicle on my way to the grocery store by these black people? And over a decision of some white police officers arresting a black person. The black person shouldn't have been doing whatever they was doing. I don't really care if they was doing right or wrong. Look, listen, the police pulled him over, pulled him out and arrested. He must have been doing something wrong. I don't have time to be figuring out exactly why they pulled him over. I don't really need to look at no video. I trust the police. They're here to protect me. Sir, look, every time I get pulled over by the police, I don't have no problem. My family members get pulled over by the police. They don't have no problem. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, we friends with a lot of police officers. We have police in my family. We have no problem with. I don't know why the black people have problem with the police. They must be doing something wrong, right? So I don't even have time to talk about it. But yeah, I'm being pulled out. Maybe I need to understand why all of this stuff happening, man. Because I don't know, and I think that's how white people think. It don't affect them. And then you may ask your coworkers, "Yo, man, what is up with this race stuff y'all keep talking about?" And then it may be an enlightening conversation, or it might be a conversation where somebody just get pissed off, and then now you feel like, okay, we're not getting nowhere because you angry. I'm sorry I even asked the question. So you're gonna go about your day. But what really needs to happen is a conversation needs to be had. Because think about it logically. See, white people don't really think about things logically that benefits them when it comes to race. They just don't want to talk about it. Most of them just don't want to talk about it and don't want to deal with it and have their own idea about it. And a lot of it comes by the way they've been taught. It's just been pervasive as white. I call it white right, like white, WHITE, right, RIGHT, because it's really not the fault of most white people. This is how they've been taught from birth, that this is the way things are. Like I'm kind of going all over the place, but like for instance, Columbus Day, right? Like as kids, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, you've been taught in America that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Now, Christopher Columbus wasn't American, right? Nobody was American until 1776, 1775, right? That's when you declared a new country. So up to that point, nobody was American, right? So Christopher Columbus was not American. He was Italian, I think. And he was either Italian or Spanish, or he was Italian working for the Spanish. But regardless, he was thought of as a white person, right? So you say in the history books, in American history books, Christopher Columbus discovered America. So you already thinking that a white person discovered America. But we know that a white person cannot discover America because people were already in America. They weren't, and that was Native Americans. Now, Native Americans were not calling America America, where they lived. They were calling it whatever else they were calling. I don't even know, because you know what? I haven't been taught what Native Americans were calling where they live. Excuse me. And they have their own, I guess you can say, country, territory. And they call their territory whatever they call it. But we don't learn that. So all we know is America, right? But think about this. Let's say your grandparents were taught that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Your grandparents taught that. Now, as a little kid, when they grew up, logically, they know that Christopher Columbus did not really discover America. But your mind still don't really go there because of what you've been taught. So it's ingrained inside your head. But you know that Christopher Columbus didn't really discover America because there was already people in America, right? But then when you grew up and the grandparents had kids, which is your mother and father, your mother and father were taught, I'm talking to white people. Your mother and father were taught that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Now your grandparents knew at this point, when they had kids, that Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Because you can't discover something that was somebody already there, right? But they didn't say nothing to their kids about it. They just allowed their kids to think that on their projects, schoolwork, whatever, this is what they learn. Now, your mother and father grew up, had you. You went to school. You learned about Christopher Columbus discovering America. Your parents didn't say nothing about it. Your grandparents didn't say nothing to you about it. They both know that Christopher Columbus did not discover America, but they ain't telling you none of that. So you grow up until you realize that logically that's not true. How can somebody discover something that's already there, right? But you got kids. And I guarantee you, your kids are learning Christopher Columbus discovered America. They even have a holiday, Columbus Day. You ask the kids, what is Columbus Day? Oh, that's the day that Christopher Columbus did what? Discovered America. They've been taught that year after year after year, and nobody's saying nothing about it. You're not saying anything about it because that's how you've been taught that, hey, and see, and what's happening is you thinking that what's happening is white people have in their head that they discovering all this stuff. They the first one to discover all this stuff, and nobody's telling them anything different. Most of these plants and animals that are on this earth have not been discovered by white people. In Africa, in South America, in North America, in Asia, and Europe, most of these places have been seen by other human beings other than white people. But yet, white people have some kind of way to convince the earth of human beings, the world, that they discovered all this stuff. You see it in a BBC documentary. You're seeing National Geographic. You're seeing a whole bunch of different nature shows and Cosmos and all these other shows that mostly white people produce and direct, and they have a white voice behind it. And then showing white people, scientists, and and people and videographers and going out there. And it's like white people are discovering all this stuff. But man, let me tell you something. It was Africans have seen gorillas for thousands of years. It's only recently that people, white people in Europe, thought the gorillas were a myth until somebody came back with pictures and then they brought them back in a zoo over in Europe. I don't even know when it was. It might have been in the 1800s or something like that. But I guarantee you gorillas did not start to be in existence in 17 or 1800s. But they act like they were the first ones to discover gorillas. Like, no. Gorillas been around for a long time. This stuff is laughable. And you might be laughing at it right now, but it's the truth. I mean, white people think that they created America and they developed America and they did it. They did it on the backs of other people. A lot of inventions that you think were invented by only white people, it's not true, man. It's been invented by other races. Now, a lot of discrimination and racism has happened. I'm talking about recent inventions. I'm talking about since America was founded in 1776, 1775, right? You had a lot of black inventors. You had a lot of other race who had inventions. But what happened was either the white people took credit for it, they stole it, or they took credit for it. And that's what happened, man. I mean, you got white people taking over land of black people through riots, through running them out of town. They got a freaking lake up here called Lake Lanier. If you look it up, if you're not from Atlanta area, you look it up. Lake Lanier, the area where Lake Lanier is located, had a lot of black people that was there. Something happened. They ran the black people out. White people ran them out. And then they covered up the land with water. Lake Lanier. Now, if people go boating, they can see at different levels, especially because, you know, when you have drought, stuff like that, the lake levels go down. Then you can see like street signs at the bottom of the freaking lake. Like, what the heck? How you have street signs? You got street signs. You got houses and stuff like that. Well, where that come from? But those, like, it's just so much racism out there as far as the history in America, and nobody talks about it. And now you got this CRT. See, I know I'm all over the place, but now you got this CRT, which is critical race theory, and it's talking about race. And all it is just trying to give people the correct history. But people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that their ancestors were wrong morally. They know their ancestors was wrong morally. They don't want to hear about that. That's why they don't want to hear about slavery. They don't want another slave movie to be made depicting white people as brutal and oppressors. They don't want that. They don't want to hear anything about race. They don't want to hear nothing. Definitely don't want to hear nothing about reparations. That's a whole nother thing. You get into reparations. Reparations should have been, we wouldn't even have this problem about reparations if reparations would have been given over 100 years ago. And now you have somebody like Mitch McConnell talking about something where it's too late. But your people made it too late. Because now you have all these people, all these offsprings of the ancestors of slavery. What you gonna do with the offspring? You got all these people now that you're gonna have to pay as reparations. Otherwise, we ain't gonna stop talking about it. We're not gonna stop talking about it ever. The bad thing about it is we up here waiting on reparations from other people. Really, reparations is just an apology. It's an apology saying, "Hey, we're sorry," and then when you apologize, you make some type of restoration, and restoration is reparations. Or reparation is the restoration, part of it. But you don't want to do that. Where the money gonna come from? Who gonna white people should it's not coming from white people per se. It's coming from the government. But it probably should come from those who have benefited from it. Now, I can't do nothing about what your forefathers did. Yeah, it's gonna have to come out your pocket. And land and wealth that they enjoyed from the backs of slaves. And now you're saying that you got to give it up. Yeah. Yeah. Because it wasn't yours in the first place. It wasn't. You took it. You took it. And now you mad that you got to give some of it back because your forefathers worked on no. Your forefathers didn't work to build that. Your forefathers oppressed people to build up that wealth. But you don't see nothing wrong with it. You know why? Because Christopher Columbus discovered America. Yeah. Christopher Columbus discovered America. It's in the history books. Written by white people. Prevailed. Being pervasive by white people. And guess what? When your kids have kids, guess what they're gonna learn? Christopher Columbus discovered America.